This fish is clearly rotten.
You're lucky.
Good luck, Doc. You're gonna need it.
I've had Gloomwood in my library for ages now, though doing a video on an early access game felt strange. This is the Halloween episode. It's this fun mix of Bloodborne's gothic horror, Thief's immersive stealth, and a few other immersive sims like Deus Ex and System Shock. I'm playing the version on screen, and with New Blood Interactive's reputation, I can't help but expect something special when it's out of early access. Now, it's been in there for years, but they've kept updating it, and right now there's about 4 or 5 hours of content if you're gunning it for a single run. There's more if you explore thoroughly or repeat various sections, maybe choose different routes this time. I've got mixed feelings, but they're leaning on the side of good.
What's that noise?
A dreadful plague has overtaken a Victorian city, twisting its inhabitants into something grotesque. You play as the Doctor, who awakens locked up in the chum pit of a fishery. An old stranger tosses you a ring, the thief-style light gem, and tells you to escape and seek further instruction at a distant lighthouse. You start with nothing but your wits. Stealth is your lifeline, and only later do you acquire weapons to help you survive. The story unfolds through notes, overheard conversations, and environmental details. The game does the exact opposite of spoon-feed you. It encourages exploration and experimentation with multiple ways to solve almost every encounter. When Gloomwood works like this, it's brilliant. The opening sequence is tense and atmospheric, you're creeping through rooms, dodging in the inquisitive locals, every sound making your heart jump, every challenge offering multiple ways to get past it. The first time you find a gun, you're clinging onto it like a diabetic with their EpiPen. The beginning is great, but the middle of the game is what I'd describe as a bit of a shit sandwich. It feels much more restrictive, almost forcing you through specific routes. Thankfully, once that section's done, and you'll know when you see it, the game pulls a complete 180 and returns to form. I hate using that phrase after Inquisition. Suddenly, it's back to being this gripping, horror-tinged immersive sim, and any frustrations really started to melt away for me. Gloomwood deliberately looks like it could have been built in the Dark engine, think System Shock 2 or the first 2 Thief games, and in that respect, it absolutely nails the look. If you're after high fidelity graphics, this isn't going to be the game for you, but if you like games where you can count polygons on meshes, you're in for a treat. The setting itself is visually grim, unsettling at times, and surprisingly Victorian for the poly count. Enemy designs range from striking to downright monstrous. The lighting isn't just for aesthetic reasons either, it's a key gameplay mechanic. You can see exactly which bits of shade will hide you or not. Early enemies have glowing projectors for eyes blasting out of their heads, that make it very clear when they've spotted you or if they're hunting for you, that sort of thing. Later foes just have glowing eyes, faint enough to unnerve you in the dark, as you see them peering out at you. But by the end you're encountering monsters that subvert this entirely, with no eyes that could glow at all. You have to rely on sound or see their silhouette in areas with dim light, which makes encounters nerve-wracking. Some of these designs just scream, "I'm gonna eat your face if you startle me." And it works. It makes exploration tense in the best way. I'll save showing the truly terrifying ones until later. The UI, as you can see, is minimal. The ring on your finger tells you how visible you are to enemies, and if you're injured, a red vignette fades in. Otherwise, it's just you and the game. It's incredibly effective for immersion. Reloading your pistol, well, you have to check the revolver's chambers manually. Your inventory, you physically open up a suitcase, and if there's no room to do it, tough luck. It's fun, immersive visuals. Though you can access several menus that will show you a bit more detail if you'd like. Each area feels distinct and readable, from the grimy Victorian streets to the unfathomable ruins of Mahabra. The visuals, they get a gold star from me, as they serve the game's oppressive, spoopy atmosphere. The music is understated and atmospheric. It rarely draws attention to itself, instead blending seamlessly with the diegetic sounds you might encounter. Murmuring enemies, echoing footsteps, distant coughing, and the unsettling moans of unseen creatures. It's subtle but effective. The docks sound like docks, the Eldritch Pit sound, well, exactly as weird as you'd hope. Where the game truly shines is in its sound design. keeping the music minimal was the right call, as Gloomwood also relies heavily on audio cues for stealth. You can tell just how loud you are from your footsteps, depending on what surface you're walking on. Enemies behave similarly, though occasionally their footstep audio feels directionally off, like certain walls don't exist as they should. Still, the tension that sound creates when it does work is phenomenal. The atmosphere is thick, you'll often hear pained breathing or whispering around a corner before you actually see anything, and it makes things very tense. I've had more than one encounter where I turned a corner and walked straight into something scary because I didn't take the time to use my ear holes. Weapons sound appropriately weighty. The revolver sounds like a pea shooter because it is, but the shotgun has a satisfying punch to it. The voice acting is good in that delightfully hammy way. Guards sound cartoonishly evil, NPCs deliver their lines well, and the monsters, well, their noises steal the show. Now for the big one, gameplay. Gloomwood is at its core a stealth game. It takes heavy inspiration from Thief, both in its mechanics and in the multiple ways you can advance through an area. That's where it shines most, sneaking, exploring, and improvising when things do go wrong. The opening sections and the whole approach towards the lighthouse show this perfectly. Hidden loot, side paths, environmental storytelling, exploring every nook has some reward to it. Stealth kills are satisfying. You charge your cane sword until it glows for an instant backstab, but later enemies are built with this in mind, so some might wear armour, others have chitinous spines that make them immune to stealth kills. If you go loud, you should come prepared. Enemies are mobile, aggressive, and hit hard. They'll react to gunfire or the bodies that you've forgotten to hide. Even when you're armed to the teeth, the tension never really fades, unless it's a one-on-one encounter where you can just backpedal away from most folks. The lack of a HUD keeps you immersed. Inventory management in this case is pure Resident Evil style grid Tetris, and though you can expand your case later, it does quickly and quite annoyingly fill up. The recent research update made this worse by adding more item types with little explanation to a new player, forcing you to leave things behind or backtrack constantly. The research system itself is fascinating but quite clunky as is. You can chop enemies up and take their pieces to a lab at the lighthouse to learn about them and brew serums that grant temporary abilities that mimic them. It's a cool concept that adds some lore reading and expands your gameplay options quite nicely, but all the parts you need to take to analyse take up so much inventory space. Even when you unlock the fast travel, it becomes tedious hauling everything back to the lab every time. It's a bit like System Shock 2's research system but locked to a single location, and the game really needs either more labs or a more convenient way to transport these samples. Aside from that, you've got plenty of classic immersive sim tools, throwable objects for distraction, food to lure beasts and heal from, bear traps, and later moss and fire quote-unquote arrows via a flare gun. By the end, you even get a rope launcher. Everything's there for a great Thief-style horror experience, it just needs more polish. Some players on Steam have already called this the best stealth game ever made, but I have no clue what they're smoking. Right now, stealth can be quite clunky. You're often incentivized to kill enemies both for research and just your overall safety. The merchant itself only shows up near the end of the game, so there's little motivation to actually pick up all the shinies unless you're role-playing as that squirrel from Ice Age. Story-wise, there's not much yet, and that's where I'm hoping future updates will come in clutch. I'll share some bits and pieces from my playthrough worth highlighting, but fair warning, it is spoiler territory. The game is much better going in blind, and if you want to skip the spoilers, head to this timestamp on screen. Otherwise, just prepare to dig in. We awaken in the chum pit of a fishery. No intro cutscene and no exposition. We are the Doctor, and the hows and whys of us being here are completely unknown. A mysterious stranger throws us the light ring so we can track our stealth, and from there we're on our own, sneaking past the giant axe-wielding psychopaths guarding the place. A prisoner named Edward helps us retrieve our cane sword, and it's like he's been built into the walls. He guides us to pickpocket a key from the guard's belt, and once armed we learn about backstabs. Edward wishes us luck as we try to make our escape. And there are countless ways out, rooftops, vents, side passages, each offering different risks and rewards to suit individual playstyles. I commend the level design for this. In the manager's office, I found a chest with the combo hidden behind a clever but simple puzzle. You turn the lights off in the room and the code appears scrawled on the wall. Our reward? Some loot and a revolver. Though as I've been told, triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall. The revolver might as well have been a water pistol. One guard took down by taking the bulk of my ammo, but 2 more alerted, and before I knew it, I had an entire mob chasing me through the fishery. The guards are ruthless, closing distance frighteningly fast. They can climb and jump and follow you through 90% of the area. Some of them are armed. That panic when stealth fails, it's perfectly executed. From that moment on, I didn't want to take any chances with the stealth, and then I made my daring escape. I heard 2 guards discussing the Countess, whoever she is, wanted me for some reason.
What does the Countess want with him anyways?
Don't know. I just want to get the job done, get paid, and not go anywhere near her mansion after that.
And the drop-off point is the old city gate, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to hand him off to the spy master.
We were meant to be captured and dropped off at the old city gate, handed off to a spy master. The ruling caste here don't exactly sound like a friendly bunch, but perhaps I might have just missed a free ride, right? Moving across the coastal cliffs, I was nudged towards a shortcut through the local mines, where the atmosphere did change entirely. Instead of hearing anyone walking around, it was just eerily quiet besides barking in the distance. To advance through the mines, I needed to shut off the power here, which had been keeping the kennels shut after an incident with some dogs. I didn't realise that by opening the kennels, one of the dogs would come sniffling right out, and they ain't normal dogs. It's a fish dog, and if the mysterious aggression plague wasn't enough of a hint, I knew at some point I'd be dealing with some eldritch horrors down the line. The dogs have a keen sense of smell, and you can actually bait them around using food, provided you don't get too close to them. Besides more sneaking around with my tail between my legs, there really wasn't too much to comment on until I'd followed the coast around, avoiding the legion of woodsmen that were now hunting their lost captive down. Encountering a few of them stood outside a local inn that even they were too afraid to enter, which wasn't a great sign.
You first.
Are you joking? Did you see the claws on that thing? I'm not going anywhere near it until the others bring the dynamite.
Seeking shelter, I snuck in and realised I'd sprung some sort of trap. See, the basement of the inn was fine, a bit spooky sure, but nothing was down here to get me. The woodsman had locked me into the building though, leaving my only path forward, up and out of the place. I turned a corner to look into the main room and spotted something huge lumbering through. It was a pure, what the hell am I supposed to do here moment. Worst of all, with all the corpses around and the size of the thing, I could tell that combat wasn't really an option here, and I only had 1 bullet left in my gun anyway. Behind the bar was the key to some rooms, and I'd accidentally triggered the thing, messing with a door, realising then that it would take me out in a couple of hits. So that was my first death. For my second attempt, I ran straight to the attic, and using my revolver as an impromptu noisemaker, I was able to lead the creature upstairs and lock it up there, making my escape through the sewers. I looked it up online and there's keys on the thing's back that you can steal and even a shotgun somewhere in the inn, but for my playthrough I wasn't about to go and scratch its belly. Regardless, there seemed to be again a number of ways to solve the encounter, which for a game of this genre is what I like to see. Actually getting to the lighthouse, we can see the silhouette of a great city ahead of us, one guard even prepping a cannon for our arrival. It's clear we've only scratched the surface of this game. Limping into the building itself, the mysterious stranger left us a message on his gramophone. He's actually a merchant with a store in the market district. He tells us to meet him there, but also informs us of the lab below the lighthouse, where we can make all manner of foul infusions as we examine the corpses of our enemies. His last words are the creepiest.
Think responsibly. Whatever you do, don't look in the mirror.
So of course I bomb it right to the mirror to encounter the Wicked Witch of the West telling us she'd hoped to meet us. It's the Countess herself. She wants us to go to the market plaza where she'll send a goon to pick us up. This is a blatant trap at this point, but perhaps in future updates it's a way forward. For now, all we have to hook us forward is to head into the market. The easiest route being through the sewers, though you can blow the front doors off the place if you so desire. When you go to enter the sewers, you get a lovely bit of foreshadowing about its denizens. The market introduces a new enemy in the form of the Bat Barber, a strong monster that relies on its greater hearing. It's got less of a visual cue than the glowing-faced woodsman, and despite hearing one breathing, I managed to accidentally run into it here. The market itself is a wide, sprawling level, which I really struggled with in terms of stealth. There's a lot of guards, and the only sneaky thing I could come up with for the entrance to the market was using the woodsman serum to blend in. I didn't really like the start of the market at all. It felt underdeveloped compared to the previous sections despite its huge size. While it captured Thief's aesthetics, the stealth gameplay just felt uneven. I had resorted to using that woodsman serum to blend in, as there wasn't any clear lines to sneak past a choke point of guards here. Either I'd missed something key, or the level just isn't its best. It's the weakest section so far, though the back half of it does improve. More open designs as you navigate through various townhouses and across some wide open city streets, better tension with the bat barbers being a constant hazard, and optional paths with resources and even a shotgun that can involve setting off a loud noise to get to it. You'll eventually make it to the Emerald Eye to find the merchant who tells us off for looking in the mirror and talking to the Countess.
You looked in the mirror, didn't you? That was the Countess. Everything awful that has happened to this town can be linked back to her.
We need to get into the Countess's manor, and that will be the main plot for the game. There's 5 seals we'll need, but only 1 is in the current build. We'll eventually use all of those to get to the Countess, I imagine. The merchant is where you could sell your loot or buy other resources, including an inventory extension. Best of all, you can find another mirror in his place. The Countess accuses the merchant of leading us astray, and if you enter her mirror, you'll discover the game's fast travel system. It's rather late into the game though, I might add, but in the mysterious spooky mirror world, you can travel between any mirrors you've encountered. Now, the only stone seal we can access is impossibly my favourite part of the game, the underport. Heading back to where you first entered the market, you can find a gate with a dead bobby in front of it and work your way through essentially an undercity here. A snaky maze of an industrial section of city. It's a return to the playstyle of the first few sections, but on a much grander scale as you work your way through various warehouses, plumbing stations, and an old-timey power plant. The dogs are here, the woodsmen are here, there's a few bat barbers, even a point where you can force the two to fight if you'd like, or just choose to sneak past one or the other. While some areas in the underport felt slightly linear, they were normally adjacent to more open ones, and I enjoyed my time thoroughly. Parts seem to even call to Thief 2 with machine cameras that can spot you and call for the guards. Now, the denizens of this place had sealed a garbage pit off after things went awry with the plague, and our seal is located deep in that pit in an area known as the Hive. When you solve the puzzle of opening the garbage pit, as you look down, it's a straight drop with no clear way back out either. We land upon a pile of bodies and the area looks like a Fear and Hunger rendition as you see the corpses stacked high. There's definitely some inspiration that's been taken here. Now, a note from a complaining worker tells us that something was scuttling around the vents, and it didn't sound like a rat, so we can expect to see something new. Eventually, you'll encounter the horrible abominations of the crows. Monstrous, eyeless abominations that can't be backstabbed, give off no light themselves, and have a few tricks up their sleeves. If you've got no flares to throw out, you just have to hope you don't accidentally bump into one, and the stealth increases in difficulty, but not in any artificial way. Here my tension was at its highest. These things are terrifying and can crawl around in vents too, meaning you have nowhere to run. You can just hide and hope they don't see you. It felt a lot like, do or die. If I get spotted, it's the end, so let's avoid that. They're an enemy to avoid or dump your shotgun ammo into if they're on their own. I mean, just look at this little creep here. After passing through various egg chambers and seeing the mutilated corpses of the people that were working down here, I wanted out, only finding paths deeper and deeper until the Countess speaks to us through some broken hand mirrors.
I was just a little girl when the city built the first of the tunnels. I watched how the workers dug down deeper and deeper until the darkness suffocated every bit of their bodies.
The seal is in the heart of the Hive, exactly where we are. The builders of this city had dug deep enough to hit some ancient city beneath their own, and as happened in Bloodborne, something came back up with them. With the seal in our hands, we then still need to escape a nest filled with these crows, and we have nowhere near enough ammo to deal with them if they all discover us. You need to fuel an elevator with oil, and on harder difficulties fill barrels with oil from a noisy machine. This is going to bring the crows running, obviously. You eventually summon the elevator to a loud alarm and either fight your way to it once it arrives, or hide around the corner and bomb in, hoping that you can get the door shut before one sneaks on board with you. I enjoyed the cinematic nature of the climax, but almost wish there were more resources available to give me more choice in how I dealt with it. But I don't know how I'd improve that section personally without ruining the terror that it brought. That's where the content ends for the main plot. If you go back to older areas, things will have changed that you can uncover, but I'm not going to tell you about them in this video. Given the bar set by the Hive, I want more of it, and I want it now. I have no doubt they can make something very cool out of this game. The atmosphere, the tension, the world building, it's all there already. I just hope we don't have to wait another 3 years for the next chapter and the game actually leaves early access. Let's conclude. Gloomwood at its core is a love letter to an ancient breed of games, the immersive sim. Games that gave the player a ton of scope and agency in how they advance and solve the levels presented to them. In its current form, it's missing some of the magic these games had, but a large twinkle of it is there. The stealth isn't always smooth, and for the early parts, you've no real reason to act like a thief besides fun. The results of the research system are great, but carrying all the items around isn't, and the early parts of the market for me needed a bit of a rework, as they just don't mesh with the rest of the game. So far, the game has a lot of brimming potential. It feels quite precisely made by people who understand exactly what they want to make and the audience they're making it for. I think given enough time and iteration, it will be something very special. It's a great gothic horror experience. Every creak as you're sneaking around, every ominous glow of something waiting in the darkness, and every groan from some deranged creature sells the Arkham nightmare. When Gloomwood clicked, it's really, really good. I was tense, alert, improvising with whatever scraps I had to hand. But when it doesn't click, you're just left bashing your head against the wall trial and error style until it clicks back into place again. Right now, it's a good foundation and proof of concept with several hours of playtime. If New Blood can carry the same energy into the final release, refining the weaker parts without ruining the atmosphere, I imagine, at least for a niche audience, that Gloomwood's going to go very far. I'd honestly recommend giving it a go as is, or at least wishlisting it until it's updated further. For anyone who's played the game, I'd be keen to hear your own thoughts on it in the comments, because some of the online discussion felt a little bit different to my own experience. Otherwise, over and out, Smooth Brains.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Embrace the darkness.